Hello and welcome to today's episode of We Used to Be Journos, the podcast where two media insiders break down broken news. My name is Jan Fran. I am one of those media insiders. My co-host is Antoinette Latouche, and a very big hello to all of our new listeners.
Hello, Jan. Hello to the new listeners. And this is the podcast where we talk all things media, the good, the bad, the ugly, the racist. And honestly, if we didn't have a safe space to vent, I really believe I'm not that far off committing a homicide in Aldi.
Okay.
In the special buys aisle, because I get very heated and angry in the special buys aisle.
Good to know.
Yes.
We'll keep an eye out for a future crime of that nature. See a therapist is the thing that I would counsel you to do before you did that.
Okay. Sound advice. See a therapist or two.
Before we dive into our show this week, a very special announcement.
Yes.
As listeners of the show will know that we have been announcing the guests for our live tour,
Yes.
our Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Canberra live tour in early February, and we can finally announce the guests that will be joining us on our Brisbane show, and they are very excited for these two. So glad they both said yes. Drum roll, please. Yeah, we don't have a drum.
Laptop roll.
Laptop roll, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Joining us for a little sit-down interview chitty chat is none other than Myf Warhurst.
TV presenter, broadcaster extraordinaire, and also on the stage, Anisa Nanduala. She is the very funny, incredibly cool comedian.
Indeed.
Also joining us in Brisbane. So you're in for a treat, Brisbane.
You are. And if you haven't caught any of Anissa's stand-up, she's all over the internet.
Oh, she's huge.
She is hilarious.
Yeah.
She was also on Taskmaster. Some of you may know her from that. And Myf, I mean, how do we even describe Myf? She's just a media maven who's been on our screens since
And just a delicious,
forever.
kind human. So it's going to be
delicious,
great.
kind human. You're
Yeah.
right. So very excited. And of course, you can buy tickets if you head over to our social media profiles. They will be in the bios and also in the show notes.
Correct.
Wherever you are listening to and or watching this show. So head on over there and click buy. Our show.
Yes.
Today. What be on our show?
Okay, so we do have a lot to cover. We're going to chat about the government's social media ban for kids, which kicks in today. And we have mixed feelings about this in that we do not agree with each other, whether it's a good or bad thing. And you'll find out more about that later in the show.
Yeah, I'm just prefacing. Antoinette likes it. I don't.
Hey,
so just let that stew for a second, dear
Oh, don't get
listeners.
too judgy. Just hear me out, guys. Don't get too judgy.
My no this week is about a rape case in Victoria involving a high-profile family that I am not allowed to name. We're going to get into that in just a little bit.
And my no goes to the tabloid press and their sustained attacks on and bullying of Abbie Chatfield. We're going to look at the hypocrisy and also like the hilarity of some of their kind of claims and bullshit takes. And like more importantly, question this business model of rage baiting because it is very deliberate.
And we did say we had a packed show because we've got a bonus no.
Yes.
Which goes to SBS for their decision to participate in the Eurovision Song Contest. I say this as the lover of Eurovision. And the no specifically is about the justification.
Yeah.
So that's going to be unpacked in a little bit. I've also got a yes.
You got, yes.
I have a yes. I do. Don't seem so surprised. It's a slightly... I don't know how to describe it. It's a different yes today. It's a poem.
I'm going to take any yeses from you.
You're going to say, good, okay.
Yeah.
You'll see why it is a yes and what it has to do with the media once we get to it.
And my yes is to a couple of TV journos, whether they're live or on camera, doing their best to keep their cool together when things turn to shit. Got a couple of examples in the past few days, which are hilarious and I think handled like pros.
Yes, and as TV journos who have tried to keep their shit together doing live crosses can relate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can relate. All right, that is our show. Pack show. Let us get into it. The no from me. May I start?
Go.
Start. All right. My no comes to us courtesy of a rape case in Victoria. So a jury has found that a man raped his friend's girlfriend at his home in Melbourne in January 2024, right? Now, obviously, this is a media podcast. So what I am primarily concerned with is the reporting of this case, namely why it had to be reported like this.
12 jurors unanimously agreed a son of this high-profile Melbourne couple raped a woman twice. We can't tell you the man's name or identify his famous family for legal reasons.
For those that are watching this on YouTube, you will have seen the video. But for those listening, can you just describe what it is that you saw?
Yes, I saw 3 blurry blobs on the screen walking out of court. It's some people walking and you can't identify anybody, but it's that usual shuffle outside of court where there are cameras and there are microphones, but there's 3 pixelated blobs on the screen.
Yeah, but they're massive blobs.
Yes.
They're kind of like comically large blobs of pixels where you can't see who it is. And that is because the County Court of Victoria has slapped a suppression order on the case. And that means that we cannot report identifying details of various people involved, not just the now convicted rapist. And also, in addition to that, we cannot make the reasons of the suppression order public. So the suppression order is under the suppression order.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's important to note, for those who don't know a lot about suppression orders, that there can be some valid reasons why one is put in place. It can be to protect the identity of a victim, or it can be whacked onto a trial if there's a mental impairment of a perpetrator, or if there is a risk that, because there's a jury, that knowing too much about this person or their family or might prejudice the case.
There's national security reasons. There's
protecting a child. But in this case, we can't name the perpetrator. We can't name the industry his high-profile family is from. It's quite suppressive as far as suppression orders go. The rape victim is already protected under laws relating to sex crimes, where that means the victim's identity is already suppressed unless she gives express permission to the contrary. And I think a thing about suppression orders is that sometimes they can get whacked on really quickly. And I have seen, because in my court reporting days for TV, that if someone makes an application, if a party makes an application, I've literally witnessed a judge make a decision within a minute. Right? Go, you know what? At this stage, whatever, I'm gonna, particularly if the other side doesn't oppose it. And, and he's not necessarily thinking, the judge, he or her are not necessarily thinking, how is the media going to report on this? What is the public interest? Their focus is running this trial and finding a verdict. But then the process of undoing a suppression order or having one lifted is incredibly complex and long. And so I just wanted to point out that sometimes they can be whacked on very quickly and they are not lifted very easily at all.
And sometimes they don't make sense in the era of the internet.
Correct. Yes.
You know, and this isn't me arguing against them, by the way. I totally understand why they are necessary, but there is a not 0% chance that you can find out who this person is. Right?
Yes.
And so it ends up having, whacking a suppression order on a high-profile person, it ends up sort of having the opposite effect, which does not suppress the information, but rather
people go looking for it
and engages the curiosity of people and has this kind of Streisand effect.
Yeah.
Where, do you know what the Streisand effect is, by the way?
Is that when you get more attention when you were trying to not get attention or something?
So, just very quickly named after Barbara Streisand, who her house ended up on this very obscure blog, an image of her house of her clifftop mansion, and she got very mad about it and she wanted it removed. But in the kerfuffle of her wanting it removed, it just drew everyone's attention to Barbara Streisand's clifftop mansion.
Yeah, so everyone's on Reddit and everywhere going where is her house?
No, this was even before Reddit. I think this poor guy was running a blog and then suddenly it crashed because of all of the traffic to this blog of people wanting to look at Barbara Streisand's house because she told them not to. So there is this element of that is kind of uncontrollable on the internet.
Yeah.
And then you get cases where it's somebody that is super high profile and all of the foreign media can report about it.
Yeah, like George Pell. That was wild. There was that suppression order in 2018 where it was Australian media, you can't report on it. Everybody else, obviously because of his stature, the overseas media went nuts.
Yeah.
And that's where the laws aren't keeping up with a little thing called the internet.
Exactly.
Because you could find out everything on the internet. You just couldn't put it in the evening bulletin or publish it in a newspaper.
But boy, did they try. And you can't blame them because it is a massive story. And I remember the Herald Sun at the time was oh shit, we can't actually tell people what is going on. So they had this massive front cover that was black and in big block white writing just had censored.
Yeah, that was wild. And look, the issue with suppression orders is sometimes they are wielded by the cashed up and powerful because they don't want negative press about them. And so even though a judge might be you know what, I'll put it on now, the process of, as I mentioned, of lifting them is so complicated and so expensive that it really is not good, broadly speaking, for freedom of the press and public interest.
Exactly. So that is my, I guess that is a no. Like, it is a thank you, the court, but why?
Yeah, so I'm not sure why at this point a convicted rapist needs his identity suppressed.
What's your no?
Okay, so my no this week goes to Daily Mail and news.com.au's incessant targeting and bullying of Abbie Chatfield. And it's, for me, and what I've seen in recent weeks, it's the clickbait headlines over nothing. The latest is about Abbie painting. So she's painting and she's saying it to her audiences on social media, I'm painting as a form of art therapy to manage my anxiety. How that is then turned into a series of articles that then fuel pile-ons like rage baiting, which then leads to more articles, because then if Abbie's like, hey, back off me, or this is really impacting, or if she cries or whatever, then they're like, emotional Abbie, and then, the haters are like, tell her to toughen up or whatever. It just fuels this horrible cycle. And I think for me, it's just the latest example of a business model that targets progressive women to see how much money they can make off her. Mm-hmm. And, and I just think, like, at what point will they end this cycle? Until they rid them from out of public life, until they successfully, do they want to see her harm herself? Like, I just don't know what the end game is, but it's dangerous.
So has it been particularly pronounced in the last week?
It has been particularly pronounced in the last month. And so I did a little video. I just scrolled on Daily Mail. I did Abbie Chatfield and I scrolled, and I want you just to have a play.
You just typed in her name on the Daily Mail.
I literally just typed in her name because I thought it's not just me seeing it, right? Like, I'm not just imagining it. And so I went to the source of.
Yep. Okay. There we go. Defends boyfriend, reveals how much charging for art, new artwork.
It's almost daily, every other day.
Surprise career move, Wiggles issue, more boyfriend. God, Jesus Christ.
It just does not stop.
Her dress, more boyfriend.
So they've look. I have been on
her
Facebook.
Boyfriend's speech. Something about Zoran Memdani, like everything, anything and everything,
anything she says or does.
Wow. Okay.
Look, and I have been on Facebook more lately, and I see the articles not only hating on her, but I can see how they're rage baiting boomers by the captions. And that article about new career move or whatever, which is completely deceptive. There's no new career move. Yeah. And yes, it's plenty of men, but there's heaps of women in there going at her for being woke or being an attention seeker, but also going after her musician partner, Adam Hyde, because, he really supports her and he's gushing over her. They're calling him a cuck. What's a cuck or whatever? Like there's this whole...
someone that likes their partner.
Yeah.
Oh, heaven forbid.
Yeah. He's a cuck because he likes his partner. And anyway, it's really gross.
And then there's an article. At this and I can already see 1,500 likes and almost 900 comments.
Yeah. So, and then there's articles like...
this is on Facebook, by the way, just so everyone can
particularly
have the
horrible
context.
on Facebook. There's this article with her boyfriend home licking her wounds, ? Abbie Chatfield's boyfriend, Adam Hyde, ditches her to attend a movie premiere solo. I mean, maybe he just went to the movie premiere. She's home licking her wounds.
Maybe she's having a nice time.
But
actually,
maybe she didn't want to go.
Fucking hell.
And then the exact moment Australia passed peak woke, and then have a picture of Abbie clenching her fist, looking angry. She could well have been dancing in her bedroom in that. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
And I think for me, lately in particular, the stupidity and the nastiness of the bullying and targeting has become even more apparent because Abbie did the very controversial and divisive thing of not talking about fascism, not talking about Trump, not talking about abortion, not talking about Charlie Kirk, but talking about painting.
Right.
Because some people say, well, she has controversial views. Like you can, you got to dish it, you got to take it. It's like, she's literally fucking painting, man. She's finger painting.
Yeah. A little bit more than finger painting. Was it finger painting?
Some of it was finger painting.
Oh, okay.
Some of it was whatever. She's just painting.
Right. And she's not even saying anything controversial.
She's literally just painting.
Yeah.
And then the article headline is delusional. Abbie roasted over new career move. Already thousands of fans are just not buying it. And then you can see that this is on Facebook. But then when you click onto the article, Abbie Chatfield launches a career as an artist. Which she has not. She's just painting. And then some people
sharing it with people
and some people
online.
I want to buy your artwork or whatever. And I checked in on Abbie because I do know her. I've been on her podcast.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder how she deals with it.
Yeah,
like
and-
whether it's just like a block, don't think about, or whether it gets in or what.
Because it started bothering, like it was really bothering me. And maybe I felt a bit more triggered by it because I have an understanding of what it's like to be singled out and attacked and misrepresented by these fuckers, but not as incessantly and not as over innocuous shit like her.
Right.
So I did check in on her, and she did have something to say about the way that these articles are put on, particularly on Facebook, to rage bait. And she shared this.
The caption that they've put is thousands of fans aren't buying it. Yet when you click into the article itself, the article byline says, despite the fact she has thousands of fans, some aren't buying it. So it really shows the way that the clickbait and the Facebook, the way that they're driving engagement just on socials and enraging people on socials, and the actual article says something that's very different, but similar. Like it looks similar, but it's very, very different.
Yeah, see, there's an element of deception there.
Oh, absolutely.
Of clickbait that you would think
100%.
that people are across, like, oh, this is just going to be nonsense. But clearly there's an amount of people that rather like engaging with this sort of stuff.
They enjoy hating. They enjoy hating. And we know men don't get that kind of scrutiny.
Yes, and I also, interestingly, don't hugely see, conservative women get that level of treatment. They might appear in a Daily Mail article every now and again, but I don't think I've seen this consistent sort of badgering directed at them.
No, they can say the most egregious, horribly offensive thing, wishing ill upon people and whatever. And they don't have their every move watched, their every reaction. Articles about the comments people made under a video on a page, and this cycle of hate. It's reserved for progressive women, and we've seen it happen to other women. Obviously, Abbie Chatfield's caught my attention because I'm spending more time on Facebook, unfortunately. And it caught my attention because it was so innocuous. She's painting, but we've seen it happen to a bunch of other women. Gosh, we could rattle off heaps of names between us. Other women in this space that we know get targeted in this way.
I mean, I remember when I used to work on the project, I kid you not, Lisa Wilkinson would have a story about her in the Daily Mail, almost daily. Almost after every episode. And there were moments where I would be on the desk and then, you go home or whatever, you're scrolling at night, and I would see a headline from the Daily Mail about a thing that happened on the desk, and it would be feud between Lisa and co-host. And I'm thinking to myself, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was literally there. There was nothing of the sort. It didn't even come close to what was being portrayed. And they did that relentlessly.
Yeah, and the truth is they do it knowing that they're enraging and engaging people who aren't her audience anyway. Because if anyone had watched the project or had listened, they would know that this did not happen. Abbie also shared how these articles fuel hate and how she sees the difference in the treatment towards her, both online and even if she's out and about on the street. It has real impacts.
Before that article came out about my art, when I posted the art, it was almost entirely positive. I didn't see one negative comment. Obviously, someone posted saying that I was delusional. And then they've taken that one comment, made it into an article, and are getting thousands of comments, people doing skits about my bad art. And the issue, as you know, is an art. I don't give a fuck if people like my anxiety drawings. Who could give an actual shit? But the issue is that I'm now getting abused online and getting called all these names, and the hate for me just continues to be fueled no matter what I do. Everything that I do is made into an article that has a negative connotation. Then they think it's okay, and it gives them permission to troll me and be awful to me and abuse me.
It's such a trap, isn't it? Because
we have this tension all the time.
Yeah. You've got really one of two options. One, you say nothing and this just ends up in the ether. Or two, you say something about it, but then when you do, that gets turned into content.
Yeah.
So it's you can literally say that you're having a mental breakdown or you're reacting really badly to the press or the hate or the trolls out there, and then you'll get an article that's Abbie Chatfield defends herself against false accusations in teary video.
Yeah, mental breakdown.
Mental breakdown.
Yeah.
So it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
And it's like, how disingenuous that these outlets, they pretend to care about mental breakdowns or mental health or violence against women. And with the Daily Telegraph in particular, they've run these campaigns. You know how the Daily Telegraph doesn't see itself as activists,
No,
just when they run
no.
a campaign.
Yeah.
And they, in recent years, have run campaigns on violence against women online and in the home. And so
it's really important. We really do care about women. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in 2023, they had this campaign called Swipe Them Out. And it was about perpetrators on dating or just like gross people online who have convictions would be like swipe them out of dating apps. And then more recently, the Daily Telegraph launches a domestic violence coward attack campaign against DV perpetrators and violence against women. And I'm just like, you literally perpetrate online violence and hate and vitriol towards women on the daily on your fucking pages.
Yeah.
And then the Daily Mail, which is really gross, they put out this press release a few months ago. The Daily Mail empowers women with its new female editor. That was
the picture of the editorial team when it was like all women. It's like, relax, guys. It's women doing this.
It's women doing this to women, because at the heart of this success is Daily Mail's commitment to empowering women with its editorial team.
So great.
And like, I've literally had examples, and I've taken a leaf out of Clementine Ford's book here. When she gets a request from the Daily Mail, a request for comment, she publishes, like, she will just go them and say whatever the fuck she wants about what they're actually doing, their lies, their hypocrisy, and she publishes it to see what on earth they publish, if anything, about her response. And I remember I did that once. I wrote back to someone going, I think the Daily Mail is a disingenuous publication that's business model is to smear and attack women, and I don't do blah, blah, blah. And there was one word they took from it, and they were like, Antoinette Lattouf boasts about her, blah, blah, blah.
Right. And they put it in caps.
Yeah, they put it in caps in one word, and they didn't run the rest of me going, I'm calling you bullshit. So it's like, you engage, it doesn't work, you don't engage, but sometimes I do think you speak to your audience and you remind your audience of who you are and how you feel and that you're human and that this impacts you, because so many people online
What do you mean?
are like,
So it's worth doing, you're saying?
I think it's worth doing, because a lot of people are like, well, I guess you're famous and, you're successful and you're just asking for it. And, there's this kind of, and you see it in the commentary, these sort of qualifications that, well, that's just part of a job. If you are famous in the public eyes, you should just expect to feel unsafe when you walk down the street.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, bro.
Yeah. This just reminded me of a thing that I saw just like a couple of days ago, which was on news.com.au. This is just us talking about, media organizations that like tut about bad things happening online, but then don't see their role in it. News.com.au had this headline that was like 41-year-old hits back at too small dress shamers, which was about a woman who was wearing a dress that was too small and people were like shaming her for her dress being too small.
Dude.
But they had a line in there that was like, it's a fashion controversy that reveals society's obsession with policing women's bodies in public. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You know that you do that,
I'm
right?
sorry, news.com.au. Yeah.
Like, the obsession of policing women's body, like societies. Yeah, no, you're part of that.
Do you know how many too small shirts I see at every Lebanese wedding I attend for the blokes or whatever? Like, do we see articles with the hair puffing out and the belly? It's just like that's 2 sizes too small, mate.
Excuse me, I want to see some more Leb boys in a size small Tarakash shirt on the front page of news.com.au.
Thank you very much.
Even it out. Balance.
But I did go and ask the editor of the Daily Telegraph the following question. How does, a series of questions, but I'll share this one. How does the targeted, often personal focus on progressive women align with the Daily Telegraph's stated commitments to women's safety through campaigns like Cowards Attack and Swipe Them Out?
And
they ignored me.
they ignored you.
Daily Mail, I asked about, again, the targeted attack on women, how it sits with Daily Mail's empowering women's leadership team. They didn't like that question.
Oh,
So
did they reply?
No, they
No,
didn't
they
reply.
didn't
They
reply.
didn't reply.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they thought I would just take one word and capitalize it out of context, give them the same treatment. In reaching out to both the Daily Mail and the Daily Telegraph asking these questions, I thought they're just going to turn their focus on me. I knew I ran the risk of them being like,
Yeah.
you know what, we have a little hit list. We're going to put Antoinette right back on it. And I know that they're, that's part of the reason people, I think, try and
too a bit ginger about actually
they'll be
approaching
like,
them.
"Oh, it's not nice seeing this happen to other women." And we do. It's like Abbie Chatfield at the moment, 6 months ago it was somebody else, whatever.
Yeah.
And that by challenging it, it risks going, let's now stalk Antoinette's pages and see what we can say about her. And let's see if we can drag her, terrify her in public life.
Well, let me tell you, the last time someone stalked your social media pages, it didn't end well for them.
That's right. That is true. There was a court conviction. He's now convicted, correct.
Let that be a lesson. Okay, that is a no.
Okay.
That is your no. And we have a joint bonus no.
Yes.
Now,
we're feeling
don't we?
so generous.
We're feeling
this
so
week.
generous today. This little bonus no comes to us courtesy of SBS. Which is choosing to remain in the Eurovision Song Contest despite Israel's participation. Now, this no is about the justification.
Yes.
I guess that's sort of what I want to focus on. Give us a little bit of background as to what is happening here this week.
So in the last week, the European Broadcasting Union has said Israel will remain in the competition. They're supposed to go to a vote. They didn't in the end. And so certain countries' broadcasters have taken it upon themselves, such as Ireland, Spain, Slovenia, and the Netherlands, and have said, we are boycotting. Iceland is still considering a boycott, but not Australia. We've made our decision.
Not Australia. Australia has made its mind up. Look, I feel like I need to say straight off the bat that I'm definitely going to get accused of being a hater here. But I love Eurovision. I've been to Eurovision a number of times with SBS. I've been part of the broadcast. And before that, I went to a lot of Eurovision parties, believe it or not.
Okay.
So, I think Eurovision is a great fit for SBS. Generally, no shade on the people who make it. However,
Australia being part of Eurovision, questionable fit. But anyway, that's not.
However, in the Year of Our Lord 2025/2026, arguably 2024.
I have to pull you up on that. Somebody has made comments about you saying the Year of Our Lord.
Why can't I say that? Isn't it the Year of Our Lord?
They say that you say it too often and that they are not Christian.
And that they're not Christian?
Yeah, the Year of Our
Why
Lord
didn't say which Lord it was.
Okay, I'm just giving you some feedback from the Ederati.
Can I say it's the Year of Our non-specific Lord?
Okay, sure.
It's going to piss off the atheists, but hey.
Yeah, okay. The agnostics, you got the agnostics back. Okay. That's good. Inclusive. We are safe and inclusive.
I'm just going to say it a lot more now.
I know. I just remembered something.
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Seeing a couple of comments.
Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
Look, because I'm respectful to our Ederati, in 2026. Is that better?
Yeah.
See? It doesn't have the same ring to it.
No, it doesn't.
No. But the point is that we're going to Eurovision, Australia, sending someone, SBS is going to broadcast it. That's what they've said. So my no is about two things. One is about the, as I said, the justification, which we will get to in a second, but also the hypocrisy. So I just want to play you a little bit of what the director of Eurovision said about this on BBC News.
What I'm pleased is the membership have had a full opportunity to debate it, and I can tell you it was a full, frank, honest and quite moving debate. But as we can see from the emphatic result, what they really came together on is a belief that Eurovision Song Contest shouldn't be used as a political theatre.
It should not be used as political theatre.
Buddy, why did you ban Russia? Because that's what the EBU did in 2022. It said in a statement, in light of the unprecedented crisis in Ukraine, the inclusion of a Russian entry in this year's contest would bring the competition into disrepute.
Yes.
What changed?
Maybe that wasn't political theatre. But maybe a genocide is political theatre. But it's unclear.
Yeah.
Clearly the EBU in banning Russia, that was a testament to the fact that what Russia was doing was bad.
Yeah.
Because when you say it brings a competition into disrepute, that's bad.
Yeah.
But the EBU seems to think that what's happening in Gaza, it's complicated.
Yeah, genocide is complicated, guys.
It's a little bit more complicated. And that brings me to SBS.
Yes.
Okay. So SBS this week released a statement about the whole thing. They said our position remains that as a public broadcaster, making a decision to be involved based on the inclusion or exclusion of any country would undermine SBS's editorial independence and impartiality.
My favourite words these past couple of years, independence and impartiality.
Words. Yes. Yeah. I think it's worth listening. So that was a statement this week. I think it's just worth listening to the exchange between Jane Palfreman, who is now, I believe, the acting MD of SBS, and Senator Myf Warhurst. This was at Senate estimates in October. The exchange is just a tiny bit long. I'm just going to preface, but it's worth listening to the whole thing. The question that Maureen asks before we get into this is, will you withdraw or will you provide cover for Israel? Here's the answer.
We intend to participate in the Eurovision Song Contest. We are aware that these are issues of deep concern. What I would say is impartiality is
my favourite word
of who we are and our reason for being, and as such it's not appropriate for us to form a view on this. It is a matter for the EBU. We're aware they're going to a vote with members in November.
They didn't.
And we'll look forward to hearing the outcome of that.
How many Palestinians do you think, Ms. Paul-Freeman, need to be killed and massacred by Israel before SBS considers Israel's participation in Eurovision as unacceptable and withdraws? This is not a matter of impartiality. This is a matter of morality and ethics.
I think given these troubling times,
Troubling.
it's actually ever more important for us to be impartial and to not state a position for or against in any of these really complicated
So you're not against a
contexts.
genocide?
That's
SBS
not
should
what I
not
was
be
saying.
against a genocide?
How many times can you say impartiality and complicated?
I know. I kind of do feel a little bit for the executives that get hauled before Senate estimates and get asked these questions.
Why do
and
you
have
feel?
to, because there's a sort of
They're defending a bad position.
Yeah, I know. It's a sort of this strange contortion that happens when you're just like, we can't possibly state a position about, and then you get asked like, so you're not against a genocide. The reason why I cut it off there is because then that exchange is interrupted by the person that's sort of chairing the Senate estimates, who says, Senator Faruqi, just let them answer the question, sort of thing. So we don't actually get to hear the answer to that question.
But like, genuine question for SBS, would this logic hold in any other context or era? So like during slavery, would SBS have insisted it must see both sides because, in the interest of slave owners to preserve impartiality? Or during the stolen generation, would SBS have defended a position of neutrality on the grounds that taking a stance would undermine impartiality and independence?
Maybe is the short answer to that
because that's
question.
the crux here. Impartiality does not mean flattening power structures or pretending that there's not a difference between the oppressors and the oppressed or giving them equal moral weight. Or ignoring the overwhelming evidence from, the unanimous evidence from almost every human rights organisation and the UN and legal scholars. There's a difference between impartiality and moral abdication.
Yeah.
And SBS isn't fooling anyone with this stance. They can say impartiality, neutrality, complex as much as they like, but it's now the end of 2025. This is going to be in May 2026.
And I think this is the point that you make about like the weight of evidence and what we now know to be a fact. That
there is a genocide.
That there is a genocide, but also like the fact that this industry just hasn't actually reckoned with what it means to be impartial in a genocide. Anyway, I keep thinking about this question of like, why media organizations won't use that word, like why they won't say it's happening despite the overwhelming evidence that we see and despite the fact that they have used that word before, as we know, with the ABC and the Sydney Morning Herald. I'm sure you can find other examples when there was not this much evidence available even. And I think part of the reason that they kind of refuse to use that word is because when they do, the minute they do, they will have to reckon with every decision that they have made prior to that, because you couldn't with good conscience and a straight face stay in the Eurovision Song Contest
if your news reports are talking about genocide every night.
if you were to really follow the weight of that evidence and say, Israel is committing a genocide in the way that Spain and Ireland.
So take me back then to you feeling bad for this managing editor before Senate estimates then.
I know. Maybe it's no. Okay, all right. I'll tell you what this feeling is. If we're being completely honest, it's because some of the difficulties that I have in doing this podcast is the fact that I know a lot of the people in the industry, and they've been very good to me, and they're actually nice people. I'm not even actually. I don't have to say that. They are nice people. They've been nice. I've had nice dealings with them, and I know that this is probably something that plagues them to some extent, right? Like they don't make these decisions easily. Some people more than others. So I'm just conscious of that.
Sure.
And that's why I kind of say, like, I do feel bad for people that are running organisations like SBS or the ABC, because it's not easy. But then you're going to Eurovision when Israel is committing a genocide. And that makes me feel less bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that's what it is. I think it's like if you were to say, yeah, Israel is committing a genocide, then you'd have to reckon with you would have to make this hard decision. You couldn't just palm it off onto somebody else and say, oh, this is not a decision for us to make.
And this is also, it is a decision for them to make.
It's literally a decision just for them, actually.
It's a decision for them and Iceland and Norway and everybody else has shown that they can, in fact, make the decision.
No, but like just to give you specifics, like in the exchange, because I watched quite a bit more of it, they were saying, oh, this is not a matter for us. It's not a matter for us. And it's like, it literally is a matter for SBS and only SBS. Countries do not make the decisions to boycott. This isn't the Prime Minister who can make this decision.
Impartiality and independence.
It's the member states of the EBU. And clearly you have Iceland and Spain and Slovenia and the Netherlands who have made these decisions.
And the issue's not going away, right?
No.
So there was a rally over the weekend in Melbourne, outside of SBS's offices. Actually, was it outside of SBS?
Yeah, it was outside of SBS offices.
Eurovision's obviously May next year, but pressure's is ramping up and it's going to continue, I reckon. There were around 600 people, including Montaigne. They're the former Australian Eurovision contestant in 2021.
They did a little number. They did a little song, and here's a little some of the chanting.
SBS, you can't hide.
That's them.
Genocide. SBS, you can't
that's Montaigne. Yeah, and I did see Francesca Albanese. She put up a post criticising Israel's continued involvement in Eurovision, and somebody had made a graphic. It was like Genovision for Eurovision. So it's not going away, nor should it.
But honestly, like I don't know how as a viewer you would watch and be like cool with it. Also, you know what I mean? It would be interesting to see if people do tune in or not. Because like even if you want to, which as I said, I love Eurovision, I don't think I could watch it. Yeah. I haven't watched it the last few years.
A lot of people might just want to see their country do well, and so they'll watch it anyway.
Sure.
Who knows?
Sure.
Anyway, but stay tuned. This ain't going away.
Stay tuned. Indeed. The thing that is going away.
How's that as a segue? The social lifeline for many people under the age of 16.
She good. That's right. The social media ban. That is happening today, my friends. 16-year-olds who definitely listen to this podcast.
Oh,
hello.
We have some listening in the car with mum and dad to school.
We actually do. We have more teens than we think.
Yeah.
And hello to all of you.
Yes.
Sucked in. You'll have to listen to podcasts now because you can't go on these social media
Or maybe not after
anymore.
they hear my views. They may not want to listen to me anymore. Let's go.
Exactly. The social media ban is in place as of today. That means that if you are under 16, your account will essentially be deactivated on major platforms. That includes the Meta platforms, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, Reddit, X, Twitch, something called Kick.
Never heard of that.
And Threads, which is still around,
know.
allegedly.
Also don't know why. That's a favour to anyone under 16. You should not be on Threads because it's freaking boring. So this ban makes Australia the first country to do this, and it positions, Australia as a global leader of sorts in regulating big tech. So a lot of other countries are watching, looking to see how this lands, if it sticks. And the platforms have to introduce new age assurance systems, but they're not allowed to collect government ID. And the age checks may include a photo or a video estimations, and there are fines if an outlet is not doing the right thing. The compliance is measured by reasonable steps, not perfect detection. So like if somebody gets through, which inevitably I'm sure some will, it's not like they're going to be whacked with a $50 million fine because 14-year-old Joe Blow managed to get
So it's
through.
like, are you giving it a red hot crack?
Exactly. Are you trying really hard? But
sure.
Yeah, and that's the test.
Okay. Well, you're a busy mum.
Yes.
And you're also very happy about this social media ban.
Okay.
As the mother of teenagers,
yes.
Please explain yourself.
As a mother of I have one 13-year-old daughter. And
How old's your other daughter?
10.
Okay.
So my 13-year-old is not on social media. And so my support for this ban is quite unique to my situation in that a lot of her friends are on social media and she's felt left out. And this just buys me a bit more time because I'm like, now they're all not on social media. So they've downloaded WhatsApp where they can communicate on there. But for me, it just delays the exposure to the harmful stuff that I know exists online and the addiction, social media addiction, which I know I have, and all the negative mental health implications. So at the moment, she's not feeling left out because her peers are in the same boat, because we have so much research and it's only growing about the negative effects on mental health, on body dysmorphia, on suicidal thoughts. Like, we know that social media for these formative young brains is not good. So for me,
you're just happy that someone's doing the parenting instead of you.
yeah. Now I'm like, she's like, you're the worst mum. I'm like, well, it's Anthony Albanese's decision, not mine. And so I have somebody to palm off my parental responsibilities to, or the blame. I'm like, be angry at him.
She's like, you're the worst mum. And you're like, no, darling, he's the worst prime minister.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's just helping me. It's just buying more time. And when she says, oh, but everybody's on Snapchat and I'm not on Snapchat. And I'm like, well, now nobody's on Snapchat, babe.
Yeah. I mean, like, forgive me, but I don't think it's like the most appropriate thing for the government of Australia to make laws that benefit specifically Antoinette Latouffe's personal situation.
Why not? In this moment in time, it's quite helpful. She's just turned 13 and I want to delay her social media exposure. I know that's not the experience for other people. For right now, managing an angsty hormonal 13-year-old, I quite like this social media ban.
I feel like what you're saying to me is it's bad that kids are on social media. Like, there's obviously negative repercussions from kids being on social media. In fact, everybody being on social media.
Sure, we know that. That's true.
We know that. That is true. The question is whether this ban is the remedy for that. So I would argue no. That would be my argument in all of this. Can I just take you through the quick points as to why I don't like it?
Go.
And this is someone who has to pay $60 a year for a fucking blocker to block themselves out of social media, because
which you've
otherwise,
hacked anyway, you've managed
I've managed to hack. Correct. So obviously, I'm a deranged person around social media, and I know how much I don't want to be on it. I'm not disputing that with anyone. However, read this ban. A couple of things. I'm just going to go through them super quickly, because I feel like a lot of this stuff has been covered, and we could just spend ages going into each point. But stop me if you think I'm being unfair. Okay. My red flags. Number one, how it came about. First of all, when something is driven by News Corp and Whipper from Fitzy and Whipper, I'm going to have a little alert, not alarmed bell.
Yeah.
Okay? Any kind of campaign that's driven by News Corp feels like has like a populist vibe to me, which I'm like,
yeah,
my spidey senses are tingling.
Yeah, something's dodged.
Something. That's number one. Number two, it was quite rushed. So it was announced at the end of 2024. It was rushed into Parliament. There was like sort of a skeleton bill that was put before Parliament. The public was given a day, like maybe a day and a half. Think about this, less than 24 hours to make submissions on this law. So that's another red flag. Like, if you're going to make a law that is, you know, as you said, a world first, makes us a world leader, like, wouldn't you give the Australian public, I don't know, call it a week? Which would even not be enough time. So that's number two. Number three, like, there's no expert consensus here. In fact, a lot of experts have argued against this. And I remember very early on seeing a letter that was like the who's who of child tech safety law, like a Venn diagram of a bunch of academics, 100 or so, including some representing organisations, who'd written to the Prime Minister, and they were like, I don't know about this. Yeah. I don't know about this. I don't know about the ban. And so, like, I tend to side with experts, but when you get parental passion and political pressure, like, that's a potent Venn diagram. And again, the spidey senses tingle. I'm not necessarily saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's just another red flag.
Yeah, look, and one of the things I do note, and that this point has been made, that it could push kids to less safe platforms.
That's another one.
Or less understood platforms, or have them do things discreetly. And one thing I will share is I did find my daughter downloaded Snapchat without my knowledge twice in her "you're not allowed to be on Snapchat" thing. And the only way I found out was because a cousin saw her and ratted her out, the exact type of cousin I like.
Yeah.
But also that if something bad had happened on that platform, if she was groomed or she witnessed something bad, she'd probably be too scared to come and tell me, because I'd be like, how do you know X, Y, and Z? and that she would have to share that the way she knows that or the way that happened to her was because she was doing something that I didn't approve of. So I'm aware of, like, it's really freaking hard. It's really freaking hard.
There's also privacy issues in terms of ID. Like you talked about, you know, there has to be some kind of identification verification for kids. Like, do you want your kid's picture uploaded onto these various platforms? Another red flag. And there's also, I just want one more, which like I was thinking about the other day just with COVID. If you were a 10-year-old in 2020, right? Everything's gone online because of COVID. Schooling's online, relaxation's online, leisure's online, entertainment's online. Your entire life is online. Now, cut to 2025, you're 15. You've built all of these online pathways you've been forced to through no fault of your own, because that's just how you've come up. That's your teenhood. And now you're being told, actually, all of these pathways that you built are going to be gone from one day to the next. And there's no alternative. Like, it's not like the Albanese government's like, and we are going to invest in a, I don't know, outdoor playground for all teenagers to enjoy. Like, what's, you know.
No teenager with a tent, but good, nice idea.
But you know what I mean? Like, what's the
Look,
alternative?
I think the thing is, like, I see the problem with banning it retrospectively. Like, the cat's out of the bag. A lot of people have formed their identities and their connections online. My daughter's school have sent out notes and pointers to both the students and the parents to urge people to stay connected, worried about their mental health or their friendship circles or their confidence, particularly if they have spent a lot of time on, I mean, this is a huge part of their identity and connection. And I do want to point out that we published something a couple of days ago for subscribers of Et Media, or you may see a snippet on social media from Amelie Courtney, who's 17 years old, and she's expressed her views and her concerns with the ban from the perspective of someone who lives in rural Australia, is neurodivergent and queer, that her entire lifeline and community and safe space was online, that a lot of people in more socially isolated places don't have the opportunity to find friends like them just at school.
Yeah. There was this bit that she wrote. I'm not going to share too much of it, but this bit that I thought, I hadn't kind of considered a position like this. And when I saw it written down, I was like, yeah, 1,000%. She said if I hadn't had access to social media at 13, my life would have unfolded very differently. I wouldn't have understood myself as early as I did. Most importantly, I wouldn't have had the support that carried me through some of my hardest mental health moments. For many young queer and neurodivergent people, especially in rural areas, social media is the first place where they feel seen. And sometimes it's the only place. So again, we come back to that question of like, cool, what are the alternatives for these kids now? Are there any?
You know how, like, generally I would tell our listeners, and generally my position on things, whatever the policy is think about the most affected person. Don't just think about how it affects you. You know, when I talk about things like negative gearing, you know, cashed up boomers love negative gearing, but think about the people who can't get into the housing market. Think about the fastest growing population of homeless people being women over the age of 55. And then I don't apply any of that thinking to me and the social media ban. I'm like, to hell with that, it works for me.
Do as I say, but not as I'm doing or actually even saying in this moment.
So I'm fully aware of the hypocrisy and also aware of the fact that there's a bunch of other things that are being suggested in its place, like fix the algorithm.
Yes. Well, I mean, isn't that interesting? Because it's like what you said there was like, think about the people that are most affected. I'll tell you who's least affected. The fucking billionaires.
Yeah.
That run all of these platforms that have a very specific design made to addict you. Feeds that run off algorithms made to promote outrage and all the rest
AI
of that. You know, it's like, oh, cool, don't regulate that end of the ecosystem. No, regulate the users.
The kids.
Really? Regulate the kids. Is that what we're doing? I mean, a random thing, before this app that I pay $60 to block myself off the internet from, there was another one called 1 Sec. All it did was it just took 10 seconds or so to load Instagram when you opened it. And I kid you not, 90% of the time, just that added 10 seconds would make my brain go, oh, I don't want to use Instagram anymore.
So the real answer is we should all have dial-up internet?
I mean, let's just go back to the 1950s. It was really good back then.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of any issues.
No, it was
There
great.
were no problems. Everybody was But you know what I'm saying? It could be something as simple as that from their end, like a design that they implement that is not as addicting. But of course, that would actually have a tangible impact, and they're not going to do it. So we regulate the kids.
And we don't know how long this ban is going to be in place because there is a High Court challenge. Late last week, the High Court agreed to hear a special case brought by 2 teenagers. Now, they're backed by the Digital Freedom Project. That is an outfit that has been very critical of this ban. And they're arguing that the ban unreasonably burdens the implied freedom of political communication for young people. And that's expected to be heard as early as Feb 2026.
You know, the other thing that I haven't even brought up, which, my God, you just reminded me, saying political communication. So we have an implied right to political communication in the Constitution. That means that we have the right to an opinion about, you know, politics or whatever it is. And I think about like where young people get their news from and where, you know, they get their information about the world. And I think of something like Gaza.
TikTok. Yeah.
Well, I mean, think of Palestine or the coverage of Gaza. If we didn't have social media, there's no way that we would have known about the degree of the horrors and the depravity.
And the school climate rallies that happened a few years ago all across the country. There were a lot of people who got their information about the environment and climate change from TikTok and Instagram, and then who took to the streets in protest.
Right. So this is like valid questions about like what sort of news stories are going to be suppressed in the future in terms of like who won't be able to see them during some formative years.
Okay.
But regulate the children.
Yeah, okay.
Are you back?
Yeah, I mean, I know, theoretically I know, like just the practical application for these next 12 months works for me. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. It works for Antoinette, everybody. So stand down if you have criticism of the social media ban.
Just think about me.
Random question. I'm going to ask our editor, who is the most reasonable man in the whole world and always has the correct answer and has 3 children, none of whom are teenagers. Yeah. What do you think? Lockie, the editor.
I agree with it.
He likes the man! I knew it!
I think for all the arguments you made, the opposite is also true. So for teens reaching out for, you know, social connection, the opposite is true. Teens also get bullied on there.
Yeah.
So I think one experience tells their story, but it doesn't tell everyone's story. So I think, but by and large, I think it's...
So Lockie, the most reasonable person, agrees with me.
I also don't trust social media, so you're going to put all the burden onto them to do it. They're not going to do it.
Yeah. I think that's the thing that we can all agree on. We don't trust social media. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Well, there you go. That's a no from me and a yes, allegedly, from Lockie and Antoinette. So,
okay.
Speaking of yeses.
All right. I just want to give a shout out to a couple of reporters who've had a bit of a tough time on camera. So the first one goes to ABC reporter veteran Jean Kennedy because a light reflector falls on her head.
Okay.
And her response and the way she managed it, such a pro. Let's take a listen.
Okay.
Goodness gracious.
Oh,
dear, oh dear. I've
that's live TV
survived.
for you.
Minor
That's what
injuries,
happened.
perhaps.
Yeah, indeed. Well, we're just
That's
glad,
okay.
Jean,
The
that
hazards
it
of the
wasn't
job.
actually debris that had rained down on you.
No, it wasn't. But I'm okay. I'm okay.
Oh, goodness
Jean.
gracious, dear, oh dear. Like, what a legend. I'd have been like, fuck, what the fuck? You
And
know?
it was live. It was
And
live.
it was live.
Okay. Yep.
She reassured audiences that she was fine. So she just remembered the audience
Sure.
is the most
Good one.
important thing right then. Because I'd be like, what the fuck? That's how I would have reacted.
Yep.
If anything, the presenter in the studio reacted more strongly. I just thought it was a class act with the audience in mind. And here's another one.
Jean?
Good on you, Jean.
Yes, from Antoinette.
It is a yes. A former Miss World New Zealand turned TV reporter.
It's a weird way to introduce someone who's a TV reporter, but go on.
Well, she's just made the pivot to TV
okay,
reporting.
all
So
right.
she's most known in New Zealand as being
the former
Miss World New Zealand.
Okay, yep.
So this wasn't live. It was doing a piece to camera. So for those who don't know, it's when the reporter talks to camera within a greater package story. It's not live. It's kind of recorded and slotted in.
Yeah.
So she's recording a piece to camera for a Maori television current affairs show when she's hit in the face by a seagull flying at serious speed.
A seagull? A bird?
A bird. Flying at serious speed because there are strong winds. And she's in Auckland CBD and she's about to do her second take and and I just appreciate her reaction because first I saw Jean Kennedy's first and I was like, what a classy, wonderful woman. I would swear like a truckie. And then when I saw this one, I was like, oh, it's okay. # can relate.
Okay.
So you hear the whoosh, And that's the bird slamming her face.
Okay.
Right? That's the slam, for those who aren't watching.
And of course, it's got to be cheap because its shelf life in the wardrobe is going to be short-lived.
So here she's asking, should I do another one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to do another one.
Oh!
But listen to the...
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God. My eye. Yeah.
Oh, you're bleeding.
Am I?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of beeps there.
Oh my God, she did have a cut eye.
Yeah, so then she put a photo up on her socials. It sliced her eye.
Can I give a little insight as to what's happening here?
Yes.
There's something that happens in the brain of a TV presenter when you tell them something's live versus something is pre-recorded. It happens to us all the time. You know, when we do this show, we're like, we have to go as live. We have to go. If we have it in our heads that we're going as live, you just react.
You just
differently.
keep going.
You just keep going. There's
Yeah,
no.
that's true. Yeah, you know that. Yeah.
Whereas if something's pre-recorded, I think that's a little bit of a crutch to kind of lean on, like, oh, I'm just gonna let my true emotion show or whatever. I reckon if this chick was doing it live, the bird chick, sorry, I lost her name there.
Jessica, yeah.
If that was live, I reckon she would have reacted differently.
So I feel pretty confident that if I was live, I'd be like, fuck.
Nah, you wouldn't.
You reckon?
No, you know you wouldn't. You just fucking know you wouldn't. Because you've got it, it's in your head. It's like, nah, this is live. I can't. It would be way too consequential if you did that.
Okay.
And you know it. Yeah.
Well, the only there's one story when I was doing a piece to camera that I have to share, the most because you never know when you're out filming, you can be in the most random environments or environments that you think are pretty safe and then wild shit happens. So we were out in suburbia. It was out the front of somebody whose dog had attacked a woman and her child. And it was out the owner of the dog's house. It was early morning. We didn't think anything would happen. This owner was mad that the media was there. And he came out with an axe, swinging an axe.
An axe?
An axe.
A literal axe?
A literal axe.
Oh, it was not a metaphorical axe to grind.
No.
It was a literal...
He came swinging an axe.
God.
And what I most remember is one of the reporters, a male reporter from another network, just bolted and left me there and went and locked himself in the car for protection. I was like, thank you. No, I'm like, thank you, comrade. Yeah, thank you, comrade. What about you?
You're going to have to tell me off...
I'll tell you off camera who it is.
Do I know them?
Yes, you would know them.
Stop!
Since promoted, has a big job overseas.
So embarrassing.
Yeah. But what's your worst recording or live experience?
What do I have? My worst live experience. Blessed be when I used to work at SBS. This was probably, I'm just trying to get the exact date right, maybe 2010. But I used to shoot my own stuff. So I would take a video camera, tripod, all the equipment, everything. And there was one story that I was assigned to. Fucking so memorable. We'll always remember this. I was on the Sea Shepherd. Which is the ship as we were going into James Price Point because there was going to be a gas mine off the coast of that, right? But I was doing all the equipment myself, and at the time there was a thing called it was like a TVU pack. I don't know if you've ever seen them. Have you seen them? For people who don't know what we're talking about, who think that I'm referring to something from the 1800s.
It does TV, yeah.
It's sort of like this massive backpack that has live transmission capabilities, right? This is before Zoom, Henny. This is before any of that sort of stuff. And you would have to set it up, but it was fucking heavy. And I was I was wading through water, waist high water to get to shore to set up my tripod and my camera and my, TVU backpack to do a live cross. And the minutes are ticking down and I'm holding it above my head. I'm walking like this with my arms up to not get it wet because I'm like, this fucking thing costs a bomb. If it drops in the ocean, I'm getting fired. And I was sweaty and I had to put the makeup on and I'm looking at the clock and I had to put the thing in my ear, which I had to set up.
That's so stressful.
And they're like, are you ready to go? And I'm like, this thing's firing up. Yeah, it should be ready to go in a second. It's like, okay, cool. We've got you slotted in for 1 minute. And then literally about 4 seconds before they cut to me, all came on, worked a treat, and I was like, yes, thank you. I am here off the coast of James Price Point.
What a pro.
Fucking nailed it.
What a pro.
Nailed it.
Oh my God, that is so much better than my worst life story. Mine was I was heavily pregnant and I...
so the axe is not your worst, is it?
No, because that was a piece to camera. Wasn't live.
Okay.
This one was actually live and I was doing live cross after live cross outside of the Link Cafe Siege and I was heavily pregnant and I like always wanted to pee, and I was really worried that I didn't have time to run to the loo to come back. So I told my camera operator I just resigned that maybe I would pee a little bit because I'm like 8 months pregnant. I was like, are you sure you've cropped from my waist up? And so I just made the mental note that I might wet myself, and so how best do we not crop that in?
Oh my God. This is what I'm saying. You have to be so practical.
And nobody would know that, but
that you just got a pee stain.
I was cross-legged,
Oh
like,
my God.
and I was like, yes. And it's now been 14 hours and the hostages are still inside.
That's not funny, but I'm sure that your particular situation.
No, it's horrible. It was a terrible story.
Yes. Were you wearing a monochrome pantsuit?
I was wearing a dress.
Oh God. Okay. Fuck.
Yeah, because it was hot. Yes. So that's
Did you pee?
I'll tell you later.
A little bit. Nothing that the 10 viewers would have noticed. So all good. The professionalism stands. Okay, excellent. Good yes. Good
there
yes.
you are. All right.
Look, I think this is a nice yes to end on. Okay. It's a different yes from me today. It's not really, well, it is about the media, and you'll see why when I start reading it. So it's a poem. That was sent to us by one of our Ederati. Hello, Anna Et, if you are listening or watching this. She sent us a poem published in The Atlantic, of all places. I understand the irony. Don't point it out. But it was called The Eloquence by quite a well-known American poet called Jory Graham. And once I read a little bit of this to you, like I said, you'll see why it's relevant, because it is about the media and the media specifically in this time. We all know what this time is. So let me just read a little bit of it to you.
Okay.
The Prime Minister was watching a disaster movie when we found him. "We are the media," we cried. "Run!" Don't misunderstand us. We always obeyed the unwritten rules. We always respected the number of minutes allotted for the interview. Always believed in the existence of the singular reason for the world's incomprehensible demise. It was not our job to notice the rain no longer fell. We were busy tracking who was logging in and out of the current war, while new faces of God made their appearances behind our backs. As always, we checked on our stringers. We called in to get a reading on the death watch. "You're breaking up. Can you give me 50 words?" The calendar lit up with the dates when each thing of value would no longer exist. We reported it. Exactly. The idea was to leave no trace in our language of grief, regret, despair. Not a trace of us must remain. And I read that and I just got goosebumps reading that, because I was like, oh my God, that is the perfect epitome of the way in which the media seems to be working in this time. It's that, oh, we couldn't possibly take a side, or we couldn't possibly tell you what's going on. We couldn't possibly grieve. We couldn't possibly allow ourselves to feel any kind of despair. We couldn't possibly understand our role in all of this. We have to just check the watches and check the stringer and cross out the calendar and get the words and yada, yada, yada.
No grief, no regret, no despair.
Yeah.
Not a trace of us must remain.
Exactly.
Of just our humanity.
Of our humanity. We have to sever that part of ourselves to be, that very dispassionate, what's the word?
Impartially
What's
independent.
the word?
My two
Impartially
favourite.
independent. Yeah. And just to finish up, lately I have been getting into poetry.
You're writing poetry?
I'm not writing poetry, but I'm reading a lot more poetry and I'm loving it. And I never used to like poetry.
Aren't you like a poetry ambassador or something, aren't you?
Well, we're not supposed to have told people that right now, Antoinette, because that has not been publicly mentioned. But I guess
I'm very good at jumping embargoes. Quite a specialty.
She is. But yes, that will be on the cards because of how much I have come into this art form, particularly in the last 2 years, because I find it to be a much more honest and worthy truth-telling mechanism than journalism.
Okay.
And there was just this one last bit in the poem that spoke to that so brilliantly that when I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm so glad that someone else feels exactly how I feel and are able to put it into words. And it was this: I do not dare turn around to see it. I think I feel it touching my neck, tapping my shoulder. I almost hear its voice, moving too easily through the empty branches. And I envy the poets who are free to cry out as I turn in my copy. The day's final report.
So this
Isn't that
journalist wants to be a
goosebumps?
poet.
Well, this is a poet.
Yeah, I know, but it's like in the
Right.
voice of a journalist who wants to be free to actually
Exactly.
express and communicate.
Exactly. And that's what I think it speaks to. So that's why it's a yes. It's a really beautiful poem.
Thank
Even
you,
if it
Anna
is-
Et, for sharing that.
Yes. And thank you to Jory Graham for writing it. And I guess thanks to The Atlantic,
Yeah.
of all places, for publishing it. If you want to go and have a look, just
They're in our
Google-
show notes. So no, we'll put it in our
Yeah,
show
we'll put it
notes.
in our show notes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. We'll do that. But I think that might be a great place to end.
Yeah, we covered a lot today.
It was a big show.
Thank you so much for being with us, being part of our growing Eterati. You can, of course, subscribe and support to keep us doing what we're doing. And, of course, come to our live shows, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Canberra. I would say you could buy a shirt, but guess what, Jan? We have like 1 or 2 left.
I know, we've sold out
sold
of
out.
all of our merch, but we are getting new merch.
For the tour.
For the tour,
Yeah.
my friends. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And Brisbane, over to you. You know what to do. Head on over to all of our social media profiles, hit that link in the bio or hit the link in the show notes and grab your tickets to see us joined by Myf Warhurst and Anisa Nanduala on the 3rd of February for our Brisbane show. If we do not see you there, which I'm sure we will, we'll see you next week for next week's episode of We Used to Be Journos. Until then, bye-bye.
See ya.